Hello, welcome to the Let's Talk Kids Health Facebook Live Show, episode 30. I'm Dr. Narissa Bauer, your host. I'm a behavioral pediatrician and blogger of Let's Talk Kids Health. As you know, the concept of the show is to share information about behavioral health, parenting, and family wellness. Each week, I plan to bring you topics and guests to help me advance this mission so that we can all talk together. Now, remember, if you're watching this now, you'll have the opportunity to ask questions. This episode was pre-recorded. However, we will make sure to go through and answer any questions that are left. The replay is immediately available after every broadcast, so please share this episode with anyone you think would benefit, because sharing is caring. Now, if you don't want to miss future episodes or maybe check out the past ones, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Narissa Bauer MD, and follow my blog Facebook page, Let's Talk Kids Health. Okay, so now to this week's guest. Let's welcome Dr. Rashmi Schramm. Dr. Schramm is a board-certified family physician, a certified wellness coach, and meditation teacher. She's the founder of Optimal Wellness, where she incorporates powerful meditation teachings into her coaching programs. She helps busy moms let go of guilt and tap into inner peace so that they can live more energetic and purposeful lives. Thank you for coming on the show. I am so excited to chat with you today.
I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, and as you know, parenting is really challenging. I have two children of my own, not toddlers anymore, but every single stage brings with it new things to consider, to worry about. And we just want our kids to thrive. And that's why I'm so excited to have you on the show today to talk about how we can incorporate mindfulness and meditation so that we can be the best moms that we can be and, stay true to ourselves as well.
No, that's right. I have two teenagers as well. Or actually, I'm not sure if yours are teenagers, but mine are 14 and 16. And you're absolutely right. There's a new set of really fun things and some fun challenges that show up with each stage of parenting, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So do you mind just sharing with us, like, how did you get interested in meditation and mindfulness?
Yeah, absolutely. It was really more from a place of necessity for myself personally.
Uh-huh.
When my kids were really young, the deal is I was working a lot, my husband was working a lot, and it was just the crushing amount of stress that was making me not making me, but just giving me some consequences of not controlling my stress. Really, right? So I was feeling very worried all the time. I was anxious all the time. And then I began to have trouble with insomnia and then migraine headaches and digestive issues.
Oh.
So a lot of stress related illnesses. And of course moms, we're doctors, we don't stop. So I never missed a day of work, never, I missed a kid's anything, but was really suffering on the inside. On the outside, I looked just fine. And so I had had a little bit of experience with meditation as a child growing up in India, not that much, but was exposed to it. And then a little bit during college, but really felt like I needed to get back into it. And so that was really about 9 or 10 years ago when I made that decision to just do a deep dive into meditation.
Yeah. I mean, so I love that you had been exposed as a child. And, as a pediatrician, and I want to sort of advocate that families do things together. I mean, role modeling healthy habits from the beginning is really the key to getting children interested. So, how can practicing mindfulness help families, both the parents themselves as well as children?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I like to just clear up what mindfulness is because there's so many different ideas about what it is,
Yeah.
but it's incredibly simple. So the definition that I think of mindfulness is paying attention to this present moment without judgment and with curiosity. And so if you think about it, we're really all already born being very mindful. So, right, like a 2, 3, 4-year-old they don't have to try to be mindful. They're already curious. They're in the present moment. They're not worried about a conversation they had 20 minutes ago, and they're not worried about what's happening next week, right? And so it's when the stressors of life begin to tack on and the conditioning of we need to be this, we're good at this, we're bad at that. And that's really when we need to begin to pay attention to how do we bring ourselves back to that baseline mindfulness that we already have within us.
Yeah.
And so one way to do that is very, very simple, is literally just start paying attention when we are distracted, when we are worried about the future, right? So I mean, I still do it. It's not like I'm mindful all the time, but the more we practice it and the gentler we are with ourselves with it, the better we get at anything. And the same for mindfulness. And so we can really just that, kind of tech free time, gizmo free time together, just being present in whatever is there without judging whether this is a good activity or this is a bad activity, can be a really powerful experience for families.
Yeah, I love that you started with the definition because I think it leads people to think, oh, I've got to be closing my eyes, sitting really still, making sure that I'm thinking of nothing else, and then getting upset at themselves because they're like, darn it, I can't, like my mind is wandering. How can I do this? I mean, how do you help folks who are just starting, to get over that and to sort of banish like what they think it should be and just start?
Yeah, and that's it. That's so, so important. Thank you for bringing that up because that is one of the first things that I hear just, students, patients, clients really talk about is they'll come to me and they'll say, I suck at meditation or I suck at mindfulness. And so I'll be like, there's actually no such thing as being bad at mindfulness or meditation. It just is, right? And so the idea is to first start with some self-compassion and with some curiosity as to what's showing up for us. And so since we define mindfulness, I can define meditation because again, it also has a lot of different connotations to it. And meditation is also incredibly simple. It is the act of going from activity into silence.
Hmm.
And when we do that, there are different kinds of meditations, and I actually teach different kinds of meditations. And when we do this, and whether it's just noticing our breath or, following along a guided meditation, you bring in those aspects of mindfulness that I mentioned already, which is non-judgment and curiosity and just being present.
Hmm.
And so what's natural is that our brains will go to all of those thoughts. That's just how our brains work. We have somewhere around 60 or 80,000 thoughts a day, maybe less, maybe more, it doesn't matter. But about 80% of them are recycled from the day before. And so just beginning to notice those thoughts, beginning to notice what's showing up for us, and having some curiosity and some self-compassion is really the best way to get started with any kind of mindfulness or meditation practice.
Hmm. I mean, do you have specific strategies or ways for parents to talk to their kids about this? Because, as I said, I see a lot of kids with ADHD and anxiety, and we talk a lot about automatic negative thoughts, those inner criticisms and that voice inside your head that, I'm not good enough, or, this, continually going over the events of the day or an incident with a friend. I mean, is there a way for us to begin to help them be self compassionate?
Absolutely. And the first place to start is with ourselves. And that is
Mm,
honestly why like I said, with the stresses, obviously it was showing up with my partner, it was showing up with my kids.
yeah.
And I didn't like the way that it was showing up. I was irritable, I was tired more than I should be, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's just like with anything else, if we're eating fast food and we tell the kids to eat a salad, that's not going to work out. And so same thing as we look within ourselves and say, are we exhibiting any of those behaviors or looking towards some of those behaviors? Are we doing things repetitively? And that's fine if we are. It's
Hmm.
just looking to see, hey, how can I model something for my kids? And that's, I think, the best way to start. And if we're already modeling it, for example, if somebody's already mindful and they're already practicing any one of these sort of mind body techniques, whether it's yoga or meditation, then I think really the thing that's going to show up is just maybe gently introducing the idea and holding space. And that's really the only thing we can do, because anytime we try to force kids, no matter how old they are, certainly by the time they become tweens, they will absolutely not do it. If you say, come do this meditation with me, they're not going to do it. But it's
Hmm.
really just more holding that gentle space, modeling that, and bringing that gentle sort of compassionate energy into whatever conversation that we're having with them, and just holding space. If they're, if your kid is talking about, I had this terrible thing happen at school, and it's continuing to show up for me over and over again, then just listening. And of course, talking to experts like you, or anyone else is usually the best thing to do, is to start with us.
Yeah. And as you said, you're a parent, I'm a parent. How do you see the applications of mindfulness and meditation in the moment for parenting?
Oh yeah, goodness gracious. I mean, so much of the time. And when my kids were little, I feel like I missed out on so much, because I was, pretty typically, like, when I was at work, I was super stressed, and then I would, run off to, like, the kids' play or something, because I had to and while I was there, I was making the grocery store list. And then as soon as I went to the grocery store, I was like figuring out how I'm going to make dinner as fast as I can. And then I was making dinner, I was thinking about, well, how in the heck am I going to get the kids to bed on time?
Right.
And then when I was getting the kids to bed on time, I was like, God, how can I get this done fast enough so I can go to bed on time?
Yeah.
And I missed the whole day.
Oh no.
Like, the point is, I missed, right? So,
I
like,
mean, because
I'm there.
you're always thinking several steps ahead. You're not
Yeah,
in the present.
right, right. So the simple answer is just be right here. If you're watching your kids play, or whatever it is, just be right there. Like, that's the best gift you can give to yourself. It's the best gift you can give to anyone else, right? And
Uh-huh.
so, I mean, and this was something that I had to discover for myself, because no one else was inside my head other than me, right? So no one knew that I wasn't necessarily paying attention to anything that was happening.
Yeah.
And I think we can get into that habit pretty quickly, and we can even think of it as being productive, because I wasn't the only one sitting at the kids' play, returning emails and writing out the grocery store
Mhm.
list and texting people back. There were pretty much all of us were doing the same thing, and we were missing the thing we showed up for. And so that's the fastest way, is
Oh my
when
gosh.
we notice that we're not
Uh-huh.
in the present moment, is, again, to have that self-compassion to ourselves, and just bring us back to this present moment, and continue to begin again and again and again and again and again. And the more we do it, the better we get at it, right? And
Mhm.
so, and the better our life satisfaction is. And so what we start to see is we actually become happier, healthier people the more we live in the present moment.
Yes. You can begin to notice those patterns, or have a daughter who says, "Mom, every time I ask you to come up to bed and, lay with me, you're always on your phone. Can you put that down?" I mean, I'm guilty. So last night I actually, like, went to her room, we were kind of laying there, and I found myself looking at the phone. I was like texting a friend, and then she was kind of just sitting there like this. And I was like, "Oh, sorry." And just sort of reconnected with her, and she was happy. But I mean, I think everybody gets into the moments, and I love that you said, we kind of disguise it in the form of, like, I'm just being productive, I'm multitasking, right? I mean, as moms, we have this need to be thinking constantly about everybody's needs and wants, and how to run the household. uh it's a lot.
It's a lot, and let's be honest, we do a lot. I mean, we do a lot, and so we are, like you said, we're running the household. We might be taking care of, a generation above us. We're taking care of others,
Hmm.
and so a lot of it has to do with, let me ground myself first, and then I can actually be more productive, which is really what I found within my own meditation practice, is
Hmm.
just significantly increased productivity for myself when I am in the moment.
Yeah. Can I ask you, like, what is one of your favorite breathing techniques? Because I think that's something that I, as a behavioral pediatrician, teach children a lot. And I have, like, the square breath. I have finger breathing. I have lots of different names for fun breaths. But is there a one that you tend to like to use yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So, pranayam, which is one of the eight limbs of yoga, which
Uh-huh.
is really just breath work, is an entire limb. So you think of all the postures or asanas that we have in yoga,
Uh-huh.
and we have nearly as many breath exercises for a variety of different things. And I love that you bring up breath work, because honestly, I start with breath work first, especially if I'm dealing with, either like a student or a client or a patient. And a lot of times they've been suffering suffering from huge amounts of anxiety.
Mhm.
And the idea of sitting still and either noticing their breath and or following a mantra can be very, very challenging until they can at least move away from that sympathetic fight or flight. And so the breath is a wonderful way to bring us out of that sympathetic fight or flight and into the parasympathetic rest and restore response. And so I
Mhm.
often start with breath work and or breathing exercises. I love that you brought up, I think you said you teach the 444. Is that what you
Mhm.
teach?
Mhm.
Which is great. That is a wonderful place to start. Really, and this isn't necessarily even a breath work, but just noticing the movement of the diaphragm. So we, sometimes with kids, I'll teach them, we call it just balloon breath or belly breath,
Mhm.
because what can happen, and certainly I see this a lot, is we can begin to have a paradoxical breath response. So when we're taking a deep breath in, we might breathe like this, right? Which
Mhm.
really we're using kind of
Mhm.
the upper chest area, and guess what? There's really no space to expand there, and so we're not really taking care of what we need as far as oxygenation goes. And so when we begin to use the diaphragm, which is just to shove the diaphragm down, so using the lower lobes of the lungs, which kind of pushes the belly out. I mean, we're not really breathing through the belly when we say belly breath. And it's a multifold process that happens, right? So we actually oxygenate better, which is great for our brains. We also stretch some of the tendons of the diaphragm, so that really tends to strengthen that muscle. And we actually activate the vagal nerve, which is an incredibly important parasympathetic nerve. And so we do so many different things. So I really do, I start with just making sure they're doing belly breathing.
Mhm.
And then if they've done the box breath and they like it, then we stick with that. And sometimes when we exhale for just a count or two longer than the inhalation, they can also begin to notice a significant ability to come into the present moment. There are a few
Mhm.
others that I teach on my YouTube channel as well.
Oh, wonderful. And I mean, now that you mention your YouTube channel, how do they find it?
Really, you could just Google my name, which is
Uh-huh.
Dr. Rashmi Schramm, and it's Dr. Rashmi Schramm Optimal Wellness. And
Uh-huh.
I have a full set of meditations, just beginner meditations, some for focus, some for relaxation, some for connectivity. And then I have some breath work as well there. And
Oh,
they're all free.
yeah, I love it. And that what a resource that you're developing for everybody. I'm curious though, could you share with us, a success story regarding meditation? Because I think some people are gonna get really excited after they see this episode, but they're like, how do I know that I've actually gotten where I need to be?
Absolutely. So there's so many success stories, but one that really comes to mind is like an incredible transformation that sort of happened over the last 6 7 months or so. But one of my patients had really been suffering through her pregnancy. She had a very complicated pregnancy, and of course she had 3 other kids, and ended up with some preeclampsia towards the end of her
Mm,
pregnancy, and then postpartum preeclampsia as well. And so she was having hypertensive crises and a lot of anxiety that goes along with that, obviously. And so she had turned to me when she was pregnant, and then we had started to try some meditation. It just wasn't going well. So we really came back to breathing exercises.
mhm,
And so we started with literally just 2 minutes a day, 2 minutes twice a day of some different breathing exercises. And she worked that up to about 5 minutes twice a day. And that was really she still, talked about the key to being able to bring not just her blood pressure down, but her anxiety down,
mhm,
and being able to sleep better at night. And so then when she was able to go into that not frightful stage, she was then able to incorporate just a few minutes of meditation in. So it was like a really, really, really gradual, gentle move into some of these things. And over the course of about 6 weeks, she was meditating a couple times a day. Again, not more than 5 or 10 minutes. She was doing 5 minutes of breath work before that. She was doing that at night before she went to bed. And, her, really kind of transformation was amazing to watch, because what she was noticing was she has a 7-year old, a 9-year old, and a teenager. And they, of course, were picking up because we're herd animals. We pick up on emotions. And so she was very anxious naturally. And so were her kids. And so what she was able to do when she got to a really good place was she was actually teaching her kids these breathing exercises. And she was telling me these different stories about how differently they were behaving and just, how they were sleeping better. And so they started to see some real, sort of movement within the family itself. And so it's never just about us, right? Like the minute we learn something, we want to teach it to our kids, we want to teach it to our partners and our friends, whoever we're around. And so it not just benefits us, but our environment as well. And so she's done an incredible job, and she is doing so well.
I mean, that's such a great story, and especially to share with my audience who are, parents and caregivers, and there's just the stress of daily life. And now, because she's able to model this for her kids, they're learning it at a much earlier age and can take that life skill with them, use that whenever they need to, sort of ground themselves again.
That's it, right? So these are just those tools that we take with us the rest of our lives. And that's
Hmm.
what's so valuable about something like this.
Yeah. Can I just clarify with you? So you said that she got to the point where she was doing 5 minutes twice a day. I mean, and here we're really talking about the need to flex our brains, to practice the anything that we want to learn, we want to keep practicing. Is it to the point where then, because she made that conscious effort to practice, whenever she needed it, she could recall it and do it in the moment then? Is that?
That's right.
Yeah.
So the breath work really works that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So neurons that fire together wire together. We say that, right?
Yep.
So if we have practiced a certain breath and we're in a certain state of mind that induces calm, then we can pretty immediately induce that same state of calm with that same breath work,
Mhm.
and we can do that as needed. The thing with meditation can be that the more we do it, the deeper we get into that meditation. Same thing, right? So neurologically, we've seen long-term meditators, long-time meditators, and we see this over and over again, that literally their brains look completely differently.
Yeah.
That the reactivity just isn't there, and it's more of a response. It's more of a resting response that tends to happen, and that can be really valuable for all of us, really. And so,
Mhm.
yes, it's really the act of doing the thing every day. So anytime we do something every day, whether it's 2 minutes, 5 minutes, an hour, whatever it is, we know the power of habit. It is then our brain starts to go, well, this must be important. We're doing this every day.
Yeah.
And so it becomes part of the neurological network of every day.
Thank you for sharing that success story, because I think I for one have always been, I'm working on that pause and listen, right? And I think, just because our day-to-day life is so hectic and like you said, we multitask a lot, I constantly am still reminding myself, "Ooh, hold on. I need to pause. I don't need to react." But I think augmenting and really being intentional about incorporating that breath work and that meditation will be so helpful for so many people, not just me, but other viewers or listeners out there.
Right, and so like I said, I came into it not because, "Oh, I wanted to teach others." Listen,
Yep.
I needed it
Yeah.
myself quite
Yeah.
terribly. And so once I got to the point where I felt really comfortable with it, I said, "Well, let me figure out how I can teach this. Let me go get certified in this or that. Let me do some more deep dive into this so that I
Yep.
can, teach this, because this is, really kind of gold that's just sitting around. We haven't picked it up yet."
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing this. I mean, I'm leaving this interview with hope and, I think and excitement too, because again, I want folks to know about you and, what you offer. So please tell us about this, because I'm hoping that after people, again, view this episode, they immediately go and subscribe to your YouTube channel and check you out.
Yeah, exactly. So, if you go to YouTube and you type in my name, Dr. Rashmi Schramm, my videos will pop up. And so I would just encourage you to try, one of the 7 or 8 or 10 minute meditations that I have, as well as, if you'd like, follow me on Instagram. I actually post quite a few things there. I'm also on Facebook. I also offer very low cost weekly meditations as well, and they're live. And so there's a different energy to those. So if there's any interest in that, come check out. You can find them on my website as well, which is just optimalwellnessmd.org.
I will make sure to include all of those links on the YouTube video description. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your wealth of information, the success stories, and just sharing what it is, how it has impacted you and your life. Because again, I think the fact that you live it and breathe it as well is testament to how powerful it is.
Absolutely, I agree. Thank you so much. This has been wonderful.
Of course. And just so you know, the next week's special guest is Dr. Camila Williams, who will be talking to us about wellness for single and busy moms and their kids. And also, just a plug because it is that time of year, I'm going to be opening up my Teach Me ADHD fall registration mid August. For those who are already on the wait list, you'll have an extra opportunity to register before the general public. And class sizes are limited, so consider getting yourself on that wait list. And I'll have the links also on the video. And then I have our August Parenting Book Club pick. We just started. It's never too late to pick it up. And if you happen to watch this video 6 months from now, a year from now, all of my book clubs are archived. So just join the parenting discussion group and check out the wealth of resources there. Again, thank you so much, Dr. Schramm, for joining us. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and I hope that other people will join the movement and start doing meditation and mindfulness.
I love that. Thank you so much, Dr. Bauer.
Thank you.